In this video lecture, now we will start with a new chapter, surface chemistry. Now, before we go ahead and deep dive into surface chemistry, let's just recall some of the processes that or phenomena that we have done in our previous chapters, right? That will make our understanding of what is surface chemistry. We have studied in solutions regarding evaporation, right? And if you remember, when we studied vapor pressure of solutions, we said that when liquid changes into vapor, only the molecules, liquid molecules that are at the surface, they will only escape into vapor phase, right? When evaporation takes place. So it's only these molecules that are at the surface, right, which will escape into vapor phase, right? So molecules at the surface will escape into vapor phase. Now here, this surface, right, this surface is also an interface, right? This is, we call it a surface, right? Surface or interface. What is interface? If we define, interface is a boundary of two bulk faces, right? Here the bulk phase is, this is liquid, right, and this is air, right, or water vapor, air or water vapor. So we have two bulk phases, one is liquid, the other is air or water vapor, and the boundary separating these two bulk phases is called as your interface. So interface is your boundary separating two bulk phases, right? Now this is evaporation, right? And we call evaporation is a surface phenomena, right? So evaporation is a surface phenomena, right? Then we have also studied in chapter electrochemistry, we have gone through that when a metal electrode, right, if this is a metal electrode, right, where, if you remember, we studied that zinc, this is zinc rod, right, and this is your zinc sulfate electrolyte, it has zinc ions, right? So here, this is a zinc rod which is a solid, and this zinc sulfate solution, this is your liquid, right? So here two bulk phases are solid zinc rod, and your liquid electrolyte, which is zinc sulfate, is a liquid phase. So two bulk phases are solid and liquid, right? So there must be a boundary, an interface, right? Somewhere here, this is the interface separating the liquid and the solid phases, right? So the phenomena that are taking place at this interface, right? What was the phenomena? If you remember, we studied that this zinc will lose electrons and will form zinc ions. These zinc ions will enter into the solution, right? This will go into solution, and these electrons will stick to rod, right? So this oxidation reaction is taking place at the interface of zinc rod and your electrolyte zinc sulfate, right? So here, this is again is this phenomena which is oxidation is again taking place at the interface, right? Interface of zinc rod and your liquid electrolyte zinc sulfate, right? This is your second case, right? So this phenomena of oxidation, or we call it as process of oxidation, takes place at the interface of zinc rod and zinc sulfate electrolyte, which is a liquid, right? Now if you recall, we have also studied about your this corrosion of iron, right? And in the corrosion of iron, we said if this is your iron rod, if this is the bar of iron which is kept in air, right? If this bar of iron is kept in air, then what will happen is the atmospheric oxygen, right, and water vapor will start attacking, right? Your atmospheric oxygen and water vapor, these are vapors, right, will start attacking this iron rod, right, which is a solid, right, and this is your gas, right? So this phenomena, right, or this process of corrosion is taking place at the surface of iron. If you remember, this corrosion always takes place at the surface of metals, right? And the rust that gets formed, right, after corrosion, that rust, since rust is a porous material, rust we know is a compound, hydrated ferric oxide, it's porous, right? So since it is porous, it will fall off from the metal surface, exposing the below layers of the metal to further corrosion, right? So this process of corrosion is also taking place at the surface of iron, or at the interface. Surface of iron is interface that is separating this iron rod from the gas, right, from these from air, let's call it air, right? So this is your air, right? So gases that are in air will attack the surface of iron in corrosion, right? So this process of corrosion is again taking place at the surface of iron, right? So here I mentioned corrosion is taking place at the surface of iron, right? Now there is one more thing. We have started in chemical kinetics. In chemical kinetics, we have studied about regarding catalysis, right? And catalysis, how does catalyst help to increase the rate of reaction? What it does is it provides surface to the reacting gases, and these reacting gases will get adsorbed on the surface of your catalyst, right? Or let's not call it it will get adsorbed. What it does is it will form temporary bonds, right, with the metal, with the surface of metal, right? And if this is your catalyst, which is a solid, right, and we have gases A and B, right, which are trying to react. So how does this catalyst affect the rate of reaction or increase the rate of reaction? These gases A and B will form temporary bonds with the catalyst, right? So here also it will form temporary bonds with the catalyst. So when these gases will form temporary bonds with the catalyst, these gases will come close to one another at the surface of this catalyst, right? So at the surface, now the concentration of these reactants have increased, right? So when there is more concentration, the chances of effective collisions will increase, right? So since this catalyst is helping for these gases to come close to one another and react by forming temporary bonds with them, if you notice, this phenomena is also taking place at the surface of catalyst, right? So this is how it will happen. Then A, right? Then later these bonds will break, right? and these new bonds will form between reactants. And this has occurred, this reaction has increased because this catalyst has provided surface to these reacting gases, thereby increasing their concentration and helps in the reaction between A and B, right? So this phenomena is also occurring at the surface, right? This entire phenomena is known as catalysis, right? So catalysis occurs at the surface, right? So all these phenomena, evaporation, then your oxidation that is occurring at this interface in the working of galvanic cell, right, and this corrosion which is again taking place at the surface, and this catalysis which is again taking place at the surface, all these phenomena which are taking place at the surface or at the interface of two, at the interface, or which is a boundary separating the two bulk media, right? So all these types of phenomena occurring at the surface are studied under a branch of chemistry known as your surface chemistry, right? So let's just define what is surface chemistry. Surface chemistry is branch of chemistry in which we study phenomena occurring at the surface or interface, right, separating the two bulk media. Example, all these are the examples, right? So if you want to just represent this interface is represented by putting a hyphen, right? If I want to represent this interface, solid rod and this electrolyte, this is how I will represent it, using hyphen or using dash, right? Or we may also represent as zinc sulfate like this. So a hyphen or a dash is used, or slash, not dash, slash, right? This kind of slash is used to represent the interface, right, separating the two bulk media, or I'm sorry, so separating the two bulk faces, right? So in surface chemistry we would be studying about, or we would be studying those phenomena, the phenomena that are occurring at the surface or at the interface separating the two bulk faces, right? And for this surface phenomena we need to have surface 100% clean, right? So the surface should be, surface for such phenomena should be 100% clean, right? So how will you achieve this, right? How will you achieve 100% clean surfaces? This is achieved by heating. In case of metals, it is achieved by heating metal, right, at in vacuum, right, or by heating metals at pressure of around 10 to the power of -8 to -9 pascals, right, which is very low pressure, right? So metals are heated in vacuum at a pressure of 10 to the power of -8 to -9 pascals, right, to achieve this ultra clean surfaces, right? And these metals, right, which are cleaned, right, by heating at such a low pressure should be maintained at this pressure, or in vacuum, should be preserved or maintained in vacuum, because if you will again bring it to air, bring it in the open air, then atmospheric gases like oxygen and nitrogen will again start attacking the surface of the metal, right, which will again make it unclean, right? So this clean surfaces are achieved by heating metals in vacuum, right, at a pressure of 10 to the power of minus 8 to 10 to the power of minus 9 pascals, right. And to keep these metals clean, they should be preserved under these conditions, right, of pressure, and should be preserved in vacuum, because if you will bring it in air, then atmospheric oxygen, nitrogen and other gases will again start attacking the metals, right. So in this chapter, in this entire chapter, we would be studying some of the surface phenomena in detail. In this chapter we will be studying adsorption, catalysis and colloids, including colloids being gels and emulsions, we would be doing these three things: adsorption, catalysis and colloids in detail, right. So we'll be doing all these things in our next video lectures, right. So I hope all this is clear to you, right. So thanks.